Welcome back for another deep dive from the Moore's Global Finance podcast team. You know me, I'm John, and I'm here with Tiffany.
Hey, everyone.
And we're tackling a question we've been getting a lot lately. Is Noble Gold Investments, is it worth it? Should you be looking into them?
Yeah, they've been making a lot of noise, haven't they? Precious metals are definitely having a moment, and Noble Gold is, well, they're one of the big players.
Huge. So we've been digging into the research, tons of it, and we've even gone through customer reviews,
Yeah.
really trying to get the whole picture.
Exactly. We want to break it all down for you. What they offer, who it's good for, and of course, any red flags you should watch out for.
By the end of this, you should have a really clear idea if Noble Gold is a good fit for you, your personal goals.
So starting with the basics, they've actually been around for a while, since 2006. Their main thing is helping people diversify their retirement savings with precious metals.
So you're not just stuck with, like, stocks and bonds in your IRA. You can hold gold, silver, platinum, even palladium.
Right. And what's interesting is they seem to cater to like two main types of investors.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
You've got the folks who want a traditional precious metals IRA, where they hold actual gold or silver, kind of like a hedge against inflation, maybe economic uncertainty.
Yeah, they want something they can actually hold, It's a
Yeah.
different feeling than just seeing numbers on a screen.
Totally. But then you've got people interested in their royal survival packs, basically these pre-selected bundles of gold and other metals, almost like a portable emergency fund, I guess you could say.
This part really jumped out at me. It definitely seems like something that would appeal to, like, someone worried about a market crash, or even like a major global event.
Exactly. It's about having some wealth that's not tied to the traditional financial system, something you could actually use if things went south.
Now, a lot of people I talk to, they get nervous about actually owning physical gold, storage, security, all that. But it seems like Noble Gold has, like, a system in place for that.
Oh, definitely. They work with secure storage facilities, the kind designed specifically for precious metals.
And they don't just, like, dump a pile of gold in your lap and wish you luck. They've got educational resources. They offer guidance.
Right. They've got this free investment kit that covers a lot: precious metal IRAs, rollovers, even some market analysis.
And they've got advisors who can work with you one-on-one, help you create a retirement plan that actually fits your risk level and your goals.
That personal touch can be huge, especially for people who are, new to precious metals. It can feel overwhelming at first.
Of course, it all comes at a cost. They're not the cheapest option out there. There's an $80 annual fee for the IRA, then $150 a year for storage. And you have to invest at least $20,000 to get started.
True. Those fees are something to think about, but, you got to weigh that against the potential downsides of not diversifying, right? And the peace of mind that comes with owning something tangible. For some people, that trade-off is worth it.
And you got to admit, their customer reviews are pretty impressive. They consistently score really high on sites like the Better Business Bureau, Consumer Affairs, all the big ones.
Yeah, that definitely says something. It seems like they're doing things right when it comes to customer service and making people happy.
But, no company's perfect. There are a couple of things to keep in mind.
One thing that stood out to me was they don't offer international shipping. So if you're not in the US, it's a no-go.
And they're not super upfront about pricing on their website. You'll probably have to contact them directly for a quote.
Yeah, which some people might find annoying. But I guess it could also mean they tailor their pricing to each person, based on how much you're investing, what metals you want. Could be a good thing.
Good point. So I guess we've laid out the basics here. You've got two main types of investors they target. They offer good service, seem pretty secure, great customer reviews, but not the cheapest. And there's that lack of transparency on pricing.
Right. So now I think we need to dig a little deeper. Those royal survival packs, for example, what's actually in them? How much do they cost? And strategically, why would you want one?
All good questions, and we'll get into those, but first, let's take a look at their core IRA product. What makes them stand out in a market that's getting pretty crowded?
All right, so their core IRA offering, it's actually pretty impressive, the range of metals you can hold.
Yeah, I was surprised. It's not just, like, gold coins. They've got the classics, the American Eagle gold coins, Canadian Maple Leaf silver, all that.
Oh, yeah, they've got those. And for people who like bars, they offer different sizes, like from 1 ounce up to 100 ounces.
Wow, a 100-ounce bar. That must be like...
Oh, it's massive. And don't forget, they also offer platinum and palladium. People won't always think about those, but they can be good additions to a precious metals portfolio.
It's like you walk in, and it's a precious metals candy store. But for someone who's new to all this, it could be a little, I don't know,
Intimidating.
Yeah, intimidating.
That's where their advisors can help. They can walk you through it, help you pick the right metals for your strategy, what you're comfortable with risk-wise.
Makes sense. Okay, so let's talk about those royal survival packs. I'm really curious about how they actually work.
Think of them as a way to prepare for like worst case scenarios. They have different denominations. You can get one for $5,000 or even go all the way up to $500,000.
Wow, so you could have a small pack as like an emergency fund
Right.
or go big and make it a serious part of your portfolio.
Exactly. And they all have a mix of gold and silver coins chosen for liquidity, ease of use if you actually needed them.
So it's like a little bit of financial insurance, but wouldn't it be hard to actually use those coins in an emergency? Like who's gonna...
That's a good point, yeah. But they stress that the coins are widely recognized, easy to trade. Plus, they have a buyback program. So if you ever needed to, you can sell them back to the company.
Oh, okay, so it's not like you're stuck with them.
Right. Okay, so shifting gears a little bit, let's talk storage. How do they keep everything safe? All that precious metal.
Yeah, that's a big one.
They use reputable depositories, places designed for storing this kind of stuff, multiple layers of security, armed guards, surveillance, all that.
They're not messing around.
Nope. And like we mentioned before, locations in Dallas, Delaware, and Canada, so you can choose what's convenient.
And they offer segregated storage, right? So
Yeah.
your stuff isn't mixed with someone else's.
Exactly. Extra layer of protection there, peace of mind.
Now, I'm sure some people are wondering about the tax side of things.
Yeah.
Like, if you invest in a precious metals IRA, is it treated differently than a regular IRA?
That's a great question. You should definitely talk to a tax advisor, get specific advice. But generally speaking, the rules are pretty much the same.
So you still get the tax-deferred growth, and you can roll over funds from a 401k or a traditional IRA without getting penalized.
Right. And when you retire, withdrawals are taxed as ordinary income. Pretty straightforward.
Okay, that's good to know. Now, let's be real. Not everyone loves the idea of physical gold, right? Some people prefer ETFs or maybe mining stocks. Anything for them.
They really focus on the physical stuff. Their whole thing is owning tangible assets. So if you want exposure through, paper assets, you'd have to look elsewhere.
That makes sense. They've found their niche. Okay, back to their IRA product. What are some of the big advantages of going with Noble Gold for this kind of investment?
Well, we've talked about some of them. You've got the variety, the secure storage, the personalized help, and the good reviews. But honestly, I think one of their strengths is their transparency.
Transparency is huge with investments, especially something like precious metals, which can feel a little mysterious.
Totally. And they really work to educate their clients, how it all works. They talk about risks, not just the potential upside.
It's important. You don't want to feel like you're being, pushed into something you don't get. Now, we talked pricing before, but let's break it down. $80 annual fee for the IRA, $150 for storage, anything else.
Nope. No setup fees, which is nice. And their pricing for the metals themselves is usually in line with other reputable dealers.
But they don't list their prices online. You have to contact them. Why is that?
That's a good question. Maybe because prices change so much, they want to give you the most up-to-date number. Or maybe they adjust pricing based on, how much you're investing, what metals you're choosing.
So it's worth asking about.
Yeah.
But overall, their fees seem pretty reasonable, especially with all the service they offer.
I'd agree with that. Okay, so now the big question. Risk. What are the risks of investing in precious metals with Noble Gold?
Yeah, that's the thing everyone wants to know. No investment is risk-free, right?
Right. And one obvious risk is price volatility. Precious metals can go up and down a lot in a short amount of time.
So you could lose money, especially if you need to sell quickly.
Exactly. And even though people see precious metals as an inflation hedge, there's no guarantee they'll always do well when inflation's high.
It's complicated, right? There's a global demand, supply chain issues, even like geopolitical stuff that can affect prices.
And then there's the risk of fraud, theft, that kind of thing.
That's why picking a good company is so important. Secure storage, a good track record, all that, like Noble Gold seems to have.
Absolutely. And you should always do your research. Don't just jump in blindly. Okay, we've talked benefits, risks, all that. But let's zoom out. Big picture. What role should precious metals play in a portfolio, like if you're trying to be diversified?
Yeah, that's a good place to wrap up this part of our deep dive. And it's something we'll get into next time. We'll talk about the pros and cons of having precious metals as part of your overall investment strategy. Okay, so we've looked at what Noble Gold offers, the IRAs, those survival packs, all that. We've covered fees, security, the risks involved.
Yeah.
But let's step back for a second. Like, where do precious metals fit in when you're trying to build a diversified portfolio?
That's the question, isn't it? And the answer is, well, it depends. There's no magic formula. It's about your goals, how much risk you're comfortable with, your timeline, all that stuff.
Right. It's not just, oh, everyone's buying gold, I should too. It's about figuring out if it actually makes sense for you.
Exactly. Some people, precious metals are a core part of their strategy. They might have 10%, 20%, even more of their portfolio in gold, silver. They see it as protection against inflation, a weak dollar, even like major societal
I guess that's
problems.
the whole store of value idea, right?
Yeah.
No matter what happens, gold is still going to be worth something.
Yeah, exactly. But for other investors, it's more tactical. They might hold a smaller percentage, maybe 5% or less, just to add some diversity and maybe smooth out the bumps when the stock market goes down.
So it's not about going all in, more like having it as one piece of the bigger picture.
Right. And then some people just avoid precious metals entirely. They might see it as too risky, too unpredictable, or maybe it just doesn't fit their investment style.
And that's fine too. I think the important thing is to do your research, understand the pros and cons, and make a choice that's right for your situation. No one else can decide that for you.
Couldn't agree more. And this is where, that personalized advice from Noble Gold can be helpful. Their advisors can look at your specific circumstances and figure out if precious metals make sense for you.
That guidance can be so helpful, especially when you're new to all this. It can feel like, where do I even start? But okay, let's be real. Some people listening might be thinking, all right, precious metals, I kind of get it. But why Noble Gold specifically? There are other companies doing this, right?
Oh, for sure. There are lots of options, but I think a few things make them stand out. First, their focus on being transparent, on educating their clients. They really put in the effort to give you the information you need to make a good decision.
We talked about the investment kit, the advisors, but they've also got a blog, a YouTube channel, all kinds of stuff to help you learn.
Yeah, it's not just about making a sale, it's about actually helping you understand the market.
Second thing, that security and peace of mind they offer. Partnering with good depositories, the segregated storage, that buyback program, it all adds up to feeling like you can trust them.
You're not dealing with some shady outfit. It's a company with a good track record, a good reputation.
And lastly, their customer service. Those reviews we saw, they weren't lying. People consistently say they're responsive, helpful, willing to go the extra mile.
Yeah, that personal touch can make a big difference. It makes you feel more confident about your choices.
So, as we wrap up this deep dive into Noble Gold, let's turn it back to you, the listener. What are you taking away from this? Anything surprise you? Did we change your mind about precious metals or the companies that offer them?
And maybe even more important, what questions are you still thinking about? Is Noble Gold the right fit for you? That's something only you can decide. But hopefully, we've given you the information you need to make that decision confidently.
Absolutely. And remember, whether you're a seasoned investor or just starting out, this is a marathon, not a sprint. It's about learning, adapting, always trying to understand the financial world better.
And maybe, just maybe, somewhere down the line, gold and silver will be more than just numbers on a screen. They'll be symbols of a future you planned for, built on knowledge, careful decisions, and a good dose of diversification.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. From all of us here at the Moore's Global Finance Podcast team, we'll catch you next time as we explore another corner of the financial world.